Okay, so today is December 25th of 2024, and I want to do a fully year recap for those who know me and those who want to get to know me a bit better. This is going to show you what I've been up to for the last year, and I'm going to go through this whole thing, show you the biggest lessons that I learned and whatnot, and yeah, just make an honest video. So in January, I started off the year by first off getting out of Ontario. I grew up in Ontario. That's where I met all my friends. That's where I went to school. That's where I played sports. That's where I founded all the businesses. Everything I've ever done was in Ontario, and I had never really left Ontario outside of maybe a few vacations growing up as a kid. So, the first time I visited Florida. And doing that, I got to just get outside of my comfort zone, get outside my shell. And I came to 2024 off of my first 100K a month. I think we did like 101K in December 2023. So obviously felt like I was on top of the world and just like everything was falling in the right place. And I was going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg by the end of the year, as we all do when we're on these highs. Now, going into February, what actually happened is I traveled to Florida again. This time was my first time alone to meet up with some of the friends that I've been doing business with for the last 6 years. And even these guys that I played professional video games with. And you can see all these guys here. And then also what happened in February is I navigated two seven-figure companies merging together. And it was operational hell, as I call it. I had to kind of merge all the software stacks, merge all the team, get everyone set together. And it was surely an experience. And when I did this, when you merge two seven-figure companies together, and as you can see, one of the meetings that was actually covering everything we're doing during this time, it requires a lot of work and you have to move at a ridiculous pace to actually keep it up. So that was February, learned a lot during that month. Going into March, this is where my life changed forever. So one day I get a call and they say, well, come to Vancouver, Alex. These guys that I'd done the merger with wanted to meet me, want to get to know me. Completely fair. I have a new business partner. So I packed up my life on a whim to go there, and I slept on a couch for 2 weeks while initially scaling. And I was introduced to a completely new lifestyle. For those of you who know me, those of you who don't, I'm the kind of guy where I don't even have a license. I don't have a complete car yet. Like I don't have any of that stuff. And I prefer to just go on my walks. I prefer to DoorDash my food. I'm a pretty simple guy. So getting exposed to all this was like the equivalent of showing a phone to a caveman, to a Neanderthal. I saw supercars, I saw Porsches, I saw R8s. I went to five-star restaurants for the first time, and I just saw crazy views in the penthouse that all of these guys had, and it was a complete shock. This is actually a screenshot of a video I recorded to myself, which I'll probably post on this channel one day of when I actually first initially booked the flight. Going into April, so after living on the couch for the 2 weeks, well, what we ended up doing was moving 2 floors down into a penthouse of our own with myself, my partner that we were actually working with before the merger, Dylan, and then below the two guys that we were actually merging companies with. And when we did this, it was absolutely huge. We had a crazy overhead. I believe the rent was like well over 5 figures a month. And we were pushing at a massive intensity. And because of the role that I played at the company, which is kind of an operations person, I had always just been like a little software cretin that sets things up in the background. I had to learn the skill of leadership and management, and it just got like all thrown on me at once. And I learned so much in this short period of time. And I also did something I've never done before, which is I went from, I guess I did boxing. I played a lot of sports growing up, but I felt like I hadn't challenged my body in a very long time. I went from only running 10K, which is the highest I've ever run before, to deciding to run a marathon on 12 days notice. And this was the first half marathon I did. I believe it was the weekend before the race. And I did them two back-to-back days. So I did 21K, next to 21K. And then I got ready to run the marathon, which here between May and July, most focused that I've ever been by far in my life. I completed the marathon. I think my time was like 4:20, 4:40-ish, like somewhere in between there. I don't really remember. It was a crazy experience for sure. Aggressive scaling. And essentially, the biggest thing that I had done was I balanced completing high school because I do online school up until that point. I'm now graduated and also just running this company. And at this point, we had gone to a payroll well over $60,000 a month, and we were making good money. And so I had to learn how to balance these two things and really just get an operational masterclass. After that point, something that I actually decided to do was begin working on my own products, my own projects, my own things, because a part of my 10-year vision is I want to start my own companies. So in August, I went back to Ontario and I saw a few things. First off is given that I was going ahead and started my own thing, I got to decompress after 3 years of just like straight hard grind since I ever started business. And I slowed down and I enjoyed my summer for the first time in a very long time. And I got to see my friends graduate, got to spend time with people that I haven't spoken to in a very long time. And it was overall something that I needed just to keep myself sane, keep myself in check. Going to September, On this point, instead of just relaxing and connecting back with people, with those same friends that I initially visited Orlando with, we went ahead and went to Vermont. And at this point, I had confirmed to myself that I'm now, okay, I was 17 years old at the start of this year, but now 18. I'm well versed in traveling. I can navigate myself. I am a self-sustaining human being. So that was a good feeling. Then from that point on, my mother and I actually decided to get a house in Florida. And between renovating and dodging hurricanes, this is what the place looked like. And you can see me recording here now. It is a pretty cool place. And outside of that, going into December, I founded Seven Figure Creator, which is a company I'm working on now, publicly scaling. And I've been posting consistently, documenting my entire life on YouTube. So you can see my entire December. It's on there. The biggest lessons that I learned during this entire time, and this is coming from someone who had a multi seven-figure company that they're running, managing, working on, et cetera, to now even just restarting and seeing the entire thing from what I consider the top, even though there's so much more going on, and your ego gets inflated when you're making good money. Looking down to now being at the absolute bottom, like starting 14 days ago from nothing, and seeing the entire journey and the road ahead of me. First thing is, do not externalize. So I had this tendency to write down a crap ton of things on my notes. I had this urgency to write down everything and try and turn it into a system. And one of the biggest lessons I learned is not to externalize my own power. So if I'm learning something and if I want to embed something into my life, like for example, I want to embed focus into myself. I want to be absolutely honed in. I want to be able to just sit down and work on a task. You don't need to write anything. You don't need to make any protocols to do that. What you need to do is you just need to embed it in your brain and trust that your brain can exercise that. It's not a certain order of words that you say. It's the actual habit of doing it. And then as you continue doing it, it becomes instinctual. You're never going to actually develop any habits or these crazy skills when you hear someone talk about like monk-like focus without actually going ahead and just doing the thing, but then also doing it at a frequency in a way that it becomes instinctual to yourself. Second thing is, well, be grateful. And this can go to an energetic, esoteric level, or it can also just be on a day-to-day enjoy life level. If you are grateful in your life for what you have, the people that you know, what you have achieved, and just overall the experience that you get to be here doing this, and you've been given that opportunity, it is a way better frame of mind to introduce new things into your life. It's a way better frame of mind to deal with anything bad that comes into your life. And as a result of that, it is going to bring you and allow you to see a lot more success. Third one is going to be that speed is king. So beyond everything, one of the biggest, and this is actually, I believe, part from Hormozi, part from some other guys, but the overall gist of this lesson is that I define power as the speed between something that when you think it's going to happen, when you want something to happen, and when it actually decides to happen. And the speed between that is power. So for example, if you want your company to make 10K a month, the power that you have, the proficiency, the skill that you have is the time between you deciding that thing that wants to happen in your brain and it actually like going about and happening in reality. That is what I define power and strength as. So if you can master speed, essentially what happens is you go through feedback loops, which is an engineering concept to just define all the variables, all the given things within a thing. And as a result, you are going to just move way faster. There's even this documentary of this guy who went to study these Kenyan runners who were just breaking every record to find out, is it something in their bones? Is it their biology? Is it spirituality? Is it their culture? Whatever. Like, what is it? What's making these guys just smoke everyone in the races? And this guy dedicated his entire life to studying it, decades after decades. And in his own book, he writes two things. They trained harder and they trained longer. So the more practice that you can put in and the speed at which you can do that heavily determines the success you're actually going to see. Fourth is that conversation runs the nation. So I'm a generally introverted person. I think I scored like 80% introverted. However, I realized this year that you have to get out there, you have to talk to people, and whether it's me talking to a camera like I'm doing right now, or whether it's me going face to face, camera to camera, whatever it might be, you have to get out there, you have to talk, you have to bounce ideas off people. Everything good in this world comes from other people. The money that you want right now is sitting in other people's pockets. So in order to actually go through and work and to build something great, you have to communicate with people in the business that we do. If you're running a software, something of that nature, maybe you don't. But end of the day, when you get higher and higher up in business, you're still going to have to manage people. So you need to learn that conversation runs the nation and learn how to actually communicate and become great. The fifth one is going to be let go. Just let go, and it actually combines with the sixth one, which is make it fun. let go, make it fun. Don't take it too serious. If you've committed to being an entrepreneur, which you probably have, if you decide to watch 10 minutes into this video, you really just have so much time ahead of you. You have decades ahead of you. So make it fun, have fun, because you only get one chance to live in this life, and you don't want to spend it just being there like studying productivity gurus so you can get into a car or a penthouse. I promise you, that's not what makes it worth it. It is the entire journey, and especially the company that you actually have along the way. So that is my 2024 reflection. I'm going to be posting a video about 2025 goals, hopefully tomorrow. And I hope that the value you got from this video is the time that you spent, and I will see you tomorrow.